Hi, today I want to talk about what do we do when we are just feeling so crappy and we have to perform, whether that is we have to show up for a meeting or our kids require us to be present, or like me, if you have to coach and you're just not in the mood or something happened. What do you do? How do you get yourself present? I just want to give you a few tips and let you know what works for me, and hopefully it will help you to show up in a more powerful and effective way, even though life has just dealt you something challenging or difficult. So first of all, one of the skills that I have been practicing for a long time is to shelve things. And what that means is that whatever just has happened and whatever emotion I'm experiencing, I am just mentally telling myself, hey, listen, you can't really deal with it right now. And if you let your emotions just run you, it will probably turn out to be a disaster. I'm smiling because that has happened to me. So put your emotions and the situations on hold. It doesn't mean that I'm ignoring them or that I'm pretending that they're not there. I'm just basically telling myself, hey, what just happened and your reaction to it, there will be a time to deal with it, but just not right now. So I call that putting things in a Tupperware or in a box and putting it on the shelf. And then when the time has come, and oftentimes I promise myself while I'm in this process of shelving things and putting them in the Tupperware box, when I will do that. So it could be in a few hours, or it could be in the evening, or whenever I feel that it's a good time for me to be with my emotions and the things that were just triggered. So that's one. Two is I have a little meditation routine that I do, and that is I just visualize myself in a calm way. And as I'm doing that, I'm breathing. I have maybe a picture in my mind of something that brings me joy. It could be one of my children hugging me, or it could be a scene in nature. You see, I'm smiling because just when I think about one of my kids hugging me, I smile because it just brings such wonderful feelings to me. So I might think of something calming, something that brings me happiness. And that will allow my central nervous system to calm down and to be happy and generate that. Ahead of time, you may want to think about what is that for you. That could be you thinking of somebody touching you, or something that happened to you, or being somewhere. And the more senses that you can evolve, like hearing something, seeing something, feeling something, the easier and the more powerful it will be for you to do it. So 2 would be think about something that brings you joy and happiness, and something that generates the feelings that you want to feel. 3rd, I might start to talk to myself. And I know this can sound a little crazy, but I do it. I talk to myself, and sometimes I do it out loud. So I will affirm and say, hey, Barbara, you can do it. It'll be okay. People want to know what you have to say, and you've been doing this for a long time. I gave a workshop a few weeks ago, and it was something new, and I'd never done it in this particular format, and I was really nervous about it, and I stressed about it for a few days, and part of me didn't even really know that I was stressing about it until somebody pointed it out to me. And then once I realized it, I was like, oh, you're stressing about this. And I was aware of my negative and my limiting self-beliefs that I was generating, and telling myself that, people weren't interested and it wasn't going to be good. And so immediately I shifted that, and I started to talk to myself and tell myself, it's going to be good and people are going to love it. And if there are challenging subjects that will come up, you know how to talk to people, and you're really personable, and you have things to say, and you're transparent, and all the things that are important to me and that matter to me. So that's number 3. Really start to talk to yourself in a positive way, and remind yourself of who you are and what you're capable of. And sometimes I tell myself, Barbara, you've been doing this for 25 years. And you've gotten good feedback in the past. and you can cash in on that good feedback now and use it and remind yourself of it. And so that's number 3. Number 4 is I might take a break. And so if there's something that I can do beforehand, and let's say I have a complicated coaching session, or sometimes I'm meeting with a new person and I'm a little nervous about it because I don't know this person, they don't know me, I might get myself a glass of water and a cup of tea and get myself ready. And so I have some things in my environment that I know will comfort me. And for me, that's often a glass of water and a cup of tea, and I have my pen and my paper, and so that I'm prepared and I can take notes, and that will comfort me and calm me down. Last but not least, I want to talk about this notion of intention. And I've talked about this before. And when I am just really feeling crappy and it feels like I'm going down the tube, I will do one of 2 things, and sometimes both of them. Sometimes I will talk to myself and sort of in a more assertive way and say, hey, what's going on? Who's in charge here? What is it that you're doing with yourself? And sort of shake myself up a little bit and say, hey, wake up. And then at the same time, I will look at my intention and see where do I want to go, and remind myself that I want to experience feeling good, and I want to experience feeling happy, and that what I'm looking for is feeling connected and one with people, and just to see what would be that little thing that I could do that would get myself in that direction. And that will usually help me, because it might just be a tiny little thing, like I get up and get myself a glass of water in the kitchen, or there's something that I've been doing for a few days, like the dishes, and I'm not feeling like it, and I do the dishes. And then something positive will be generated, and I will feel better about myself. Last but not least, this is sort of my best tool that I can share with you, is if I really feel down and cranky and, like life's over kind of feeling, I look at myself and the judgments that I have about myself and the judgments that I have about others. And I move myself into a forgiveness process, like actually saying those statements. I forgive myself for judging myself, And oftentimes I feel crappy because I'm judging myself as not good enough, or not smart enough, or not productive enough. And when I'm present with these uncomfortable feelings, and I can forgive myself for them and look really deep to see what is it that I feel so crappy about, then I can feel some relief, because I've acknowledged it, I've been with it, and it makes me feel better. If all fails and none of those things work for you, I suggest that don't resist it, that you just be with it, and just love yourself through it, just like you would love a child through these difficult emotions, because sometimes we just have to hang in there, because it's not always going to be that way. You're not always going to feel crappy. You're not always going to be depressed. Sometimes there's something for us to learn, or something needs to get aligned or healed or adjusted. And so if that's the case, just hang in there, love yourself through it, and you'll see it will be over faster than if you were resisting it and judging yourself even more because you're in a crappy space. So those are my tips for you. And what matters is just for you to practice one of them or all of them and see what happens if anything shifts for you. And if it does, then you keep doing it. And if it doesn't, you change it a little bit and you modify it in such a way that it can work for you. If you are doing nothing and you're just sitting there with your crappy, shitty feeling, then most likely nothing will happen and you will start feeling more like a victim. But if you start to take action, either internally or externally, you will see things will shift. So, from one person who at times feels crappy to another, these are my tips for you. If you have to show up powerful and energetic and inspiring, this is what you can do to get yourself there. Take care and have a great day.